Hey, yoga friends, good evening. Wednesday evening, time for some yoga asana for the next 50 minutes. Some anatomically correct exercise. Breathing through our nose. Time to interrupt the week with some wholesome, self-nurturing exercise. But the yoga practice, let's wait till some people join before we get cracking. Any takers tonight? There's a cold front pulling in. I'm looking forward to getting moving and warming up. I think there's quite a delay on this Facebook thing. So what I think is live is possibly hitting you half a minute or a minute later. I hope some numbers click on. It feels a bit odd to be doing this to nobody. There we go. Welcome, TJ. Excellent. I have a connection. Okay, here we go. Welcome to yoga. Voila. So sometimes in order to attract people's attention and interrupt their days and get them to come to this yoga and stretch together, I look for some inspiration on the internet and what a remarkable tool it is. There's some incredibly creative, powerful practices on display on Instagram and Facebook of some amazing yogis all around the world. That's quite a joy. There's also quite a lot of noise. Humans being humans, the landscape's pretty commercialized, and there's a lot of representation of yoga that's kind of loses the essence or the point of it, I think. And also, humans being humans, we have egos, and everybody has an opinion of yoga. And I guess the fact that you do yoga informs your own story about yourself. But there's a whole amazing other world out there of animal yoga and animal inspirational yoga. You may have seen the cat I posted. So I guess it kind of validates how natural an activity it is. The fact that animals do these stretches. And I think animal yoga is very pure. There's no ego. Animals are not doing it because of what other animals think. They're doing it because it feels incredibly good. As far as I'm aware, there's no commercialization. There's no obvious economic activity. And the other thing about it is if you blink, you miss it. So animals stretch very short amount of time, but very regularly, like every day, every morning, an animal will stretch. And at other times during the day, they catch short snippets of stretching to keep themselves tuned. And I think it's a great metaphor for yoga and a great yoga practice. So to honor our furry friends, we can start off with a couple of yoga asanas, which I've seen animals do on a daily basis. So let's get going. Remember breathing through your nose. Try and move deliberately. Looking for an intentional movement. Okay, come up on your knees. We're essentially on all fours, like a dog or a cat. Your knees are your paws, but they're pretty useless paws. So if your knees hurt or your kneecaps are sensitive, you should underneath here, like fold a t-shirt or something, just to pad your knees, because there's some nice knee exercises, but your knees mustn't hurt. Okay, kneeling, pressing my shoulders forward, right leg back, and I'm on the toe box of that back foot, and I'm pressing it back. Shoulders are pressing forward and I'm stretching back to my heel. I saw my cat do this morning. Looked pretty good. Just stay here and activate. There's a line of activation from that heel all the way through your hips, ribs, spine, to your shoulders. Okay, back on all fours, switch sides. Left leg back, you're on the toe box. Stretch back into that heel. Get your toes as far back as possible. Shoulders are pressing forward. Back to fours. Okay, slightly more advanced version. I also saw an animal do this just today. Right leg back. Right now my leg is parallel to the mat. My foot's facing the ground. Keep the thigh lifting. Picture lifting the thigh and the hip and lengthening from the heel. Shoulders are pressing forward. So we're lifting and then we're lengthening. Breathing through the nose. Okay, knees down, other leg straight out behind you, parallel to the mat, foot pointing towards the floor. Imagine the sole of your foot pressing that back wall back. You can point your toes, you can point your heel, play around with that a little bit, pressing your shoulders forward. That left hip is lifting, heel is pressing back. Okay, back onto all fours. Now straighten both legs behind you so you're in a nice plank. Your heels are over the toe box. Check that your feet are symmetrical and not like rotated in or out. The creases of your wrists are parallel with the front of the mat. Fingers are spread wide. Your hands are wider than your shoulders or beneath your shoulders. Look at your elbows. They're kind of a micro bend there. The eyes of the elbows are facing each other. Flip over onto the tops of your feet. Lower your hips down, press them forward, pulling your shoulders back. Breathing through the nose. Okay, back onto all fours. Tuck your toes and pull your hips back. Just keep moving back all the way till your hips go down onto your heels. Now I want you to lift your elbows like a giant insect, kind of crayfish thing. The elbows are lifting, you're pulling your hips back. You're sinking your groins and your belly button down. And you're softening mentally, but active for your body. Bring your attention to your breath. Okay, hands are flat. You're pressing the mat forward. You're pressing back with your feet. Now lift your knees and then straighten your legs, driving your thighs back. Thighs are giant, powerful bones. Pull them back at the back of the hamstrings. Pulling your hip structure back. Hands are pressing forward, so we're stretching the mat. Using this traction to get stretch in the spine. Lift your ribs and now pull your hips further back. Come onto high tiptoes. Okay, knees down, wide apart, toes are touching. You're on fingertips, elbows are lifting. Sink down, modified child's pose. Maybe you want to rest your forehead on the ground. Okay, back up to all fours. What are we doing now? Left arm forward. Right leg behind you, face parallel to the mat. Now slide that left arm forward. Try and get that left armpit closer to the mat, lifting the leg behind you. Nice shoulder opener. Okay, back up to all fours. Come onto your fingertips on the right hand. Left leg straight out behind you. Now that the right hand, you don't have to go on fingertips, but slide it forward and try and lower that right armpit towards the mat, lifting the leg behind you, reaching up into the heel. Neck is relaxed. Okay, back up into all fours. Tuck your toes, straighten your legs, downward dog. Now tiptoe your feet together in the center of the mat and lift your right leg high up. You're on high tiptoes on the standing leg. You're stretching back into the heel of that lifted leg. Okay, straight leg down, feet are together on high tiptoes. Lift the left leg up, reaching up into the heel. Lift the thigh. High tiptoes on the standing leg. Okay, knees down, wide apart, child's pose. Moving back into human territory on this yoga asana story. Okay. Back up to all fours, knees are together. Right leg straight up behind you. Synchronize your breath to the movement. Exhale that right knee to your right elbow. Inhale straight out behind you. Exhale, knee to elbow. Inhale back. Exhale forward. Inhale back and down. Other side. Left leg straight out behind you and then synchronize on the exhale, knee to elbow. 3 times. And down. Okay, right leg out, left arm forward. My fingers are spread in a vertical kind of karate chop. Keep that hand vertical. Try and keep some orientation here so that you don't get, so that there's some structure to the movement. You're stretching, you're lifting your leg and your arm is parallel to the mat. And on the exhale, it's knee to elbow. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, knee to elbow. Inhale, stretch. It's a really powerful stretch. And then on the exhale, last stretch, switch sides. Left leg out, right arm forward, lift the ribs. Stretch on inhale, exhale, knee to elbow. Inhale, stretch. Notice the front hand is keeping nice alignment. Last one, inhale, stretch. Exhale, down. Tuck your toes, straighten your legs, downward dog. Walk your feet back a little bit and your hands forward a bit, so it's a really long dog. Okay, walk your feet together now in the center of the mat. Keeping your legs straight. Sweep the left leg out to the side and then just keep going up all the way until up to the ceiling, and then lower it down the middle, joining the other foot on the mat. Sweep, keeping the legs straight. Sweep the right leg out, up, got a wall in my way. Foot down, joins the other one. One more on the other side. Sweep the left leg out to the side and up to the top and down. Right leg out to the side and up and down. Left leg up the middle with the straight leg, out to the side, all the way down to the other foot. Right leg up the middle, out to the side. Once more on each side. Up the middle, out to the side. Up to the top, out to the side. Knees down, child's pose, recovery. Just a quick check-in. Cool, got some connection. Okay, we're on all fours. Tuck your toes, downward dog. Feet together in the center of the mat. Lift the right leg, reaching up and sweeping the bent knee through between the hands. Okay, we're in a bent knee pigeon. Start off with your hands on your hips. That back knee's on the ground for now. Using the strength of our thighs to lift. Arms out to the side and then lift up, reaching up through the shoulders. Arms out to the side. Now rotate to the left. That back hand drops down onto the thigh, stretching up. It's like a reverse warrior, but we're in pigeon pose. Both arms up. You're in prayer in the center. Rotate to the right. Back to center, rotate to the left. Back to center. Hands down, forehead to the ground. Now lift your back knee off the ground. Stretch back into that heel. Your forehead is kissing the ground. Your neck is relaxed, so you're just lightly touching. Hips are lifting. Back heel is driving back. Okay, hands flat on the mat. Step back to downward dog. Feet are together. High tip toes. Lift your left leg, straight leg, up to the sky. Sweeping the bent knee through. Drop the back knee. Hands on your hips. Now we're lifting. Arms out to the side, stretching up. Back out to the side, rotate to the left. Back hand grabs the thigh, the calf or the ankle. Stretching up that front left hand. Both hands are up. And we're into prayer down the middle. Rotating to the right, looking to the right with my upper shoulder area. Back to the center and over to the left. Back to the center. Hands down, forehead kisses the ground. Back knee lifts and you're driving back into that heel. Hips are lifting. Pressing firmly down to the ground with that front knee. Okay. Hands broad, downward dog. Feet are hip width apart. Bend the knees. Inhale, jump forward. Interlace your hands behind your back. Bend the knees, lift the shoulders, all the way up to standing. Nice. Feeling nadia. Hands on the hips. Camera work. That's better. Hands on your hips. Remember intentional movement, breathing through your nose. Step your right foot back big distance. Both legs are straight. Check that your front foot bisects the back foot. Hands on your hips. Hips are lifting. You're stretching the mat. Hips are lifting. Bending that back knee. Back knee bends parallel to the back of the mat, in line with the foot. You might be feeling it underneath this hamstring. Both legs are straight. Bend the front knee so it's over the ankle. Back heel is driving down. This thigh is pressing back. Keeping your hands on your hips, step forward. Feet are together. Other side, step left foot back. Both legs are straight. Front foot bisects the back foot. Hands on your hips. Your back foot's parallel to the back of the mat. Follow that line with the back knee, bending it deeply. Front leg is straight. Both legs are straight, bend the front knee over the ankle. Straighten both legs, step forward. Okay. Arms out to the side. Same again, step your right foot back. Triangle legs. Arms are parallel to the mat. Arms are up. Bend the back knee. Straighten it, bend the front knee. Straighten both legs. Arms are out to the side, keeping the hips where they are. Reach as far forward as you can. Drop the back, the front hand down, grab the shin or the ankle, wherever you're at. You want the shoulders to be lifting. Lift and pressing forward so there's space in this bottom triangle here. Stack your shoulders on top of each other and lift up. Hips are pulling back, up. There's lift and the chest is opening towards the ceiling. Hand on the hip, bend the front knee, step forward. Use your hands for balance, step your left foot back, big distance. Arms out to the side and reaching up. Bend the back knee, parallel to the back of the mat. Both legs are straight, bend the front knee. Arms are parallel to the mat. Both legs are straight, keeping the hips where they are. Reach forward, grab the shin, triangle pose. Hands on your hip, step forward. There might have been some asymmetry in that sequence. Doesn't matter. Feet together, knees bent, Utkatasana, chair pose. It's as if you're on a chair, but you're active. And you're as mentally relaxed as if you're on a chair, but in your body you're working. Okay, prayer down to your knees. So toes are lifting, I'm sinking down into my hips, lengthening from my sitting bones to the top of my head. Hands alongside my feet, step the left foot back, big distance. Front knees over the ankle. I'm in a front lunge. Get that back foot as far back as possible. Shoulders are lifting, possibly pressing forwards. Now we're going to switch sides. So I bend my back knee slightly, step forward, and then shoot the right foot back, big distance. As far back as can go. Shoulders are lifting. Okay, we're going to switch sides again. Left foot back. This time drop the knee, arms up. Hips are pressing down and forward. Front foot's straight. Check it's not rotated. Stretching up, pressing down. Okay, right elbows on the right knee. Fingers are spread for power. Activate that left side of your body. Lifting the hip. Lengthening from the back heel all the way through the shoulder to the fingertips. Drop the back heel. Point to the back with this arm and come up into warrior two. Nice to do that. Step forward. Nice. Knees bent, arms up. Hands alongside the heels. Step the right foot back, big distance, drop the knee. Arms up. Hips are pressing down and forward, stretching up. Arms are behind your ears. Left elbow on the left knee. Activate that right side. Straight line from heel through the shoulders. It's not really a straight line, but you activate along that axis. Okay, drop the back heel, point to the back with this hand and come up into warrior two. Get your shoulders back above your hips. Step forward. Nice. Knees bent, arms up. A repetition. Keep your knees bent, arms down alongside your heels. Right foot back, big distance. You're on the ball of the back foot. Now a new move. Tuck that back knee. Bring it down just behind that front ankle. And on the top, on that back shin. Keep your balance. Stretch up. So that back knee is just tucked behind the ankle. Just slightly. It's quite a tricky one to balance in. There's a nice stretch here. You're reaching down with the sole of your foot and through the knee. You're in a prayer. Hands down, step up, feet are together. Left foot back, big distance. You're in a front lunge. First you're activating the front lunge pose. And then tuck that back knee just behind that front ankle. You're on top of that shin. I'm on top of my foot. My shin and my foot are quite centered and quite a narrow stance. So it's a tricky one to balance. But it allows some fresh muscles to take over. And some focus and some breath. Prayer. Switch sides. Right foot back, big distance. Again, tuck the back knee just behind the ankle. This time, sink your sitting bones down. And we come into the perfect position for this nice twist, which we do quite often. Broaden your sitting bones. Pull this shin towards you. So you try and sit tall. You try and get this lower back towards your thigh. Keep pressing with your left hand on that left knee towards you. Stretching up at the top arm. Keep the pressure of the knee towards you, and then use that top elbow to keep the knee towards you. Palm facing the front. Support yourself with your fingertips behind you. We're not actively twisting yet, even though we're quite twisted. Try and root down now into your sitting bones. Press down into the ground, and then all other particles in your spine lift up. Try and activate through that twisted line, finding a line of lift all the way through to your neck, to the top of your head. You're possibly looking to the side. We're first trying to lengthen the line. Breathing down like a taproot into the mat and lifting up towards the sky. Especially on the inhale, you're lengthening. Now, elbows digging vigorously into knee. On the exhale, start introducing a more active twist between your sitting bones and your shoulders. Forget about your neck, but you're really digging the elbow into the knee. Knees pressing back, using that to twist out like an hourglass. Wringing out your organs, looking at the back, breathing, focusing on your breath. You lift and lengthen, exhale, you twist. Go in and out of the pose very subtly, applying more and then less activation as you breathe. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, twist, and then slowly come out of it. I'm going to go back to standing to switch. Let's just switch stance. So flip your feet across. So now my right shin is hooked over my left knee. Sitting bones are broad. I'm sitting as upright as possible, pulling this knee towards me. Right palm is pressing the knee towards my chest. Left arm up, fingers are spread, lifting up. Top elbow digs in front of the knee, palm facing the front. Support yourself behind you. Pressing down the sitting bones up to the shoulders and the top of the head on the inhale. Lengthen, exhale, twist. Breathe and focus on the most sensitive area, the most stiff area. Release. Okay, let's sit cross-legged, but it's an unusual cross-legged, and then I'm focusing on getting the sole of my foot next to the edge of the mat, and the other sole of the foot as well. That's quite an unusual shin forward position, and we're trying to have our hips back. You might need to adjust it if that is too much, or wherever you're at is absolutely, you must play with your own boundary and level of stiffness, but the intention is that you're getting your soles kind of across the mat. Hips are back, so there's a rectangle here. Spread your sitting bones with your hands, like you literally manipulate your butt cheeks. Get your spine, the two columns of power from your bum bone to your shoulder needs to be broad. Okay. Shoulders are lifting. Fingers are spread. Lifting up on the inhale. And tilting forward, you're pivoting at the hips. I'm reaching forward 45 degrees for that top corner of the room. Everything is lifting. Feet are active, toes are powerfully lifting, so your feet are active, which protects your knees. Keep leaning and lifting. Try to drive as far forward and up as possible. You should be feeling it in your hips. Muscles are being asked to work that previously were asleep. Come up to the center and keeping the lift. How far back can you tilt? It's not far, but just behind, just beyond vertical, it'll feel quite different in your spine. Holding it there, breathing and lifting. Slowly towards the front again. Back to prayer. Switch your feet. Use your hands to manipulate your feet if you want. Arms out to the side, spread, lift. Remember you can use your hands to manipulate your sitting bone breadth, or you can lift your one side and you can kind of broaden things that way. You're lifting and driving forward. Up to vertical, leaning back. You're in prayer. And come out of it. Okay, just checking on the time. Halfway. 8:30, 6:30. Make your way up to the front of the mat again for one or two more standing poses. Let's go into kind of a sumo squat. So my heels are on the side of the mat, my feet are 45 degrees, and I'm trying to get my hips down to knee height. And my whole torso above my hips. So we're making things difficult for ourselves. Knees are broadening, pulling back. Can you get as much of your center of effort above your hips? It really forces the activation deep into the hips. Arms up. Stretch up. Sink down with the hips. Okay, drop your hands down beneath your shoulders. Get your feet parallel to the mat now. Lift your hips a bit and then slide your hands as far forward as possible. Pulling back with the hips. Look at your feet just alongside the mat now. Hands on the mat, broad apart. Step your left foot back, big distance. It's like a front lunge, but that back foot is on the corner of the mat and the front foot's on the other side of the mat. So it's quite a broad front lunge. My left leg is back, my right arm is forward. Stretching back into the heel, forward into the fingertips. Lift the hips and then lift that front arm up. Looking up. Press that back thigh up. Holding it here for 1 or 2 breaths. Pointing the arm forward again. Hand down. Step forward with the back leg. Back with the other leg. Okay, so now my right foot as far back as possible. Left arm forward. I'm stretching from heel to hand. Thighs are lifting. Front hand up. That back thigh is pressing up, manipulating the hip structure, giving you a bit of rotation there. And then lengthening back into the top heel. Point that top arm forward again. Hand down. Step forward the back leg, back with the other one again. Once more. Left leg is back. Just try and drop that back heel so that the foot is kind of parallel to the back of the mat and lift that left arm. Side angle pose. But it's got quite a broad stance, giving us a bit more stability. Driving up as much as possible so the line between the wrists is as straight as possible through the shoulders. Top hand down, step forward with that back leg, back with the right. Drop the back heel, arm up, side angle pose. Look up, hips are lifting. Hands down, step forward, bend your knees, reach forward with the arms. Hands on the hips and come up. Excellent. Feet are together. Hands on the hips. Step your right foot back big distance. Now that foot behind you is at 45 degrees. The sole of the foot is flat. Interlace your hands behind your hips. You're kind of leaning forward. Your torso is an extension of that back leg. Quite an intense pose actually on that hip structure, really making that front thigh work. Okay, hands down, step forward, feet together, shoot the other leg back. The foot's flat, front knees over the ankle. Lift your shoulders. Hands clasped behind you, driving back with the hands, back with the back heel, forwards with the top of the head. Step forward. Feet together, sit down on the sky. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, pull the hips back, hands down alongside the mat. Step both feet back to plank. Okay, knees down, tuck your toes. Fingertips on the side of the mat. Now very gently, chest and chin towards the ground. Big upper chest opener. Back up. Hands broad in the front of the mat. Tuck your toes. Straighten your legs, downward dog. Five breaths. Make them slow. Deep. Take your knees, inhale, jump forward. Bend your knees, reaching forward. Hands on your hips, up you come. Once more, inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward bend. Bend your knees, jump back to plank. Press down so you get your forehead touching the ground. Holding it there. Press up. Tops of the feet, upward dog. Shoulders are pressing back, chest pressing forward. Neck is relaxed. Look over to the side. Keep pressing forward with the hips, lifting the thighs. Look to the front and over to the other side. Shoulders are pulling back. Look to the front, back onto your knees. Tuck your toes. Lift your shoulders and your elbows. Downward dog, straighten your legs. Bend the knees, inhale, jump forward. Bend the knees, reach forward. Hands on your hips, up we come. Okay, some more sideways hip manipulation. Step your right leg big distance back. Front knee is bent. So we're in warrior 2 legs. Let's actually start off in warrior 2. Front knee is over the ankle, back foot's far back. Shoulders are lifting. Okay, slide that backhand down the back leg, stretching as far up as you can with the front. Reverse warrior. Keep a deep bend in the knee. Back to warrior 2. Front hand down on the inside of that front foot. Fingertips are touching the ground, stretching up to the top hand. Back up to warrior 2. Now we're in a prayer facing the front, and that right elbow goes all the way over the left knee. Dig into the elbow with the knee with the elbow. Torso is lifting, you're looking to the side, fingers are spread broadly, palms are pressing hard into each other. You twist and you lengthen from that back heel to the top of your head. Prayer back up to center, step forward. Nice. Step out the side, all about it. Left foot back, big distance. Front knee bent, arms are parallel to the mat. Shoulders are above your hips. Slide the back hand down the back leg, stretching up with the front hand. Keep that front knee deeply bent. Arms are parallel to the mat. Front arm down, fingertips on the inside of the knee. Stretching out tall. Deeply bent knee. Back to warrior 2. We're in a prayer facing the front, left elbow over. Reverse twisted prayer. Back up to warrior 2. Step forward. Okay, let's quieten down a little bit. Sitting. Sitting. Legs are straight out in front of me, in front of you. Broaden your sitting bones. Bring that right foot, the sole of the foot, right up into the groin. Get that knee quite nicely back. Again, broaden your sitting bones. Slide your hands down your leg. If you can, work it all the way through to that front foot. Grab the big toe with 2 fingers on each hand for power. Now the toe is pressing forward. And there's a triangle here. See this triangle of arms, leg, torso? We want to grow that torso, lift the shoulders, lengthen the torso, pressing down on this thigh. We want this triangle to be as large as possible. So primarily lengthening the torso edge of the triangle. But also the others, shoulders are lifting, foot's pressing forward, but I'm pulling back, so there's tension. I'm self-binding. Stay here and breathe. Keep that activation of the triangle. If it feels frozen, just hold it at the point that it feels frozen. Focus on your breath and stay there a while. focus on your breath and you keep the activation gentle, playing with the boundary of where you're starting to possibly feel something there, you might feel a softening. Might not happen immediately, or even the first few times you try it. Okay, release, switch sides. Left sole of the foot right up into the upper thigh, knee back, sliding the front hand forward, grabbing that big toe. Pull that bent knee back, shoulders are lifting, front thighs pressing down. There's an activation here, even though you're not going anywhere, it's not visibly a large pose. But maybe you can soften, let your hip structure drop down a bit. Let the back of your thighs and your sitting bones truly press down. It's like an undercarriage coming down. We tend to hold tension curled up in our tail. This is a great way to uncurl that lower part towards the coccyx. We're doing it side by side. So now we're focusing on the one side. And you're really focusing on this thigh and that sitting bone. Sitting bones are kind of the back end of the thigh. Can you press that down? Find a release there. It's a deep, deep-seated, huge muscle system that. Okay, come out of it. Bend your right knee and then flip the left knee right over it. And wiggle yourself until your knees are on top of each other. If the top knee is much higher, it doesn't really matter. Get your knees stacked on top of each other as possible. And your feet are splayed out to the side. Get them as symmetrical as possible. This is a very traditional pose. It's the cow ear pose, Gomukhasana. So we're pressing down here. It's quite a hip compression. My left knee is on top of my right. So the arms are opposite. Right will be on top of my left. So, oh no, I'm flipping things. Left arm up. Because I'm inverting, that's why I'm a bit confused. Right arm all the way over. It keeps going. Twists behind here. Eagle arms. Twisted. Lift the elbows so that they are shoulder height. Keep your hands pointing towards the front, pressing your hands forward. That's like really making this whole upper structure a lot more vigorously active. Elbows are lifted, forearms press forward, focusing on the breath. Lower your elbows all the way to the ground. Stay there one breath or two. Inhale up. Very unusual pose. Can feel quite nice, I think. Okay, let's switch sides. My right knee is over my left. Right arm forward. Left arm all the way over, crosses over. Hands are facing the front. Exhale, elbows down to the ground. Inhale up. Okay, let's come flip onto our backs. Onto your back. Knees are bent. Heels are up at your bum. Arms are up, fingers are spread. Lay your hands up above your head. As far away from your head as you can. Left leg straight, up towards the ceiling. Using the activation of the right leg, lift up that right hip. Hips off the ground, pressing the ceiling with your foot. Lower your hips to the ground, both feet are down. Right foot's up, leg is straight. Activate the left side, lift the hips. Hips are pressing towards the ceiling. Hips down, feet down. Other side. Left leg up, hips are lifting. This time keep the hips up. Drop the top leg, lift the other leg.
Drop the top leg, keep the hips lifting, lift the other leg. Drop both feet down, hips down. Hands alongside, palm facing up. Just wiggle your neck from side to side. Okay, hands grab the ankles. So your feet are right up at your bum there. Lift your arms and then place your fingers above your shoulders, pointing towards you. We'll come onto the mat for this. Lift your hips and then lift your shoulders and come onto the crown of your head. Get your forearms and your elbows parallel. Hips are lifting. You're looking back. Your chest is lifting. Stay here for as long as comfortable. Lift the crown of the head off the ground and come back down to neutral. Excellent. Both legs straight out in front of you, arms out to the side. Bend your left knee and hook the toe just behind the right knee. So the left toe hooks behind your right knee. Right arm on the left knee. Other arms out to the side, and you're looking out to the left, looking out to that straight arm. Now activate down into the heel of the straight leg, primarily. Press down into that heel, and then pull that knee over towards the ground. Doesn't have to go to the ground. Keep activating and lengthening primarily. The twist is a bonus. It's opening up your sacroiliac joint there. Don't go too crazy. Activate and lengthen, and then twist. Whatever feels good and therapeutic. Okay, both legs straight out in front of you. Bend the right knee, hook the toe behind the knee. Left arm on the right knee. Right arm's out to the side. You're looking out to that right side. Activate and lengthen to the straight leg. Pulling that right knee down towards the ground. Active and lengthen on the inhale. Exhale your D twist. Play with the edge. Release. Okay, knees up. Place your hands on your knees, pressing the knees in towards your chest. Lift your neck about 1 centimeter. Rotate towards the left. Back up to the center, over towards the right. Back up to the center. Drop your neck and just your head and just rotate your neck from side to side. And then roll over onto your side. Coming up to sit for the final part of the practice. Maybe you want to grab a warm top. And do a little bit of breathing. It's nice to sit and give yourself a bit of lift. So I'm grabbing a few books. Oopsie. Your sitting bones are not that broad, so you can sit on a normal small size book. The reason it's nice to give you lift is to get your spine projecting forward so you're not slouched over. We really want to be lengthening the spine, so you're letting our buttock bones, broadening them. Closing your eyes possibly if you want. We're going to go into a quieter, softer space. Moving towards stillness. So we're still activating like in asanas, but we're just sitting now. But there's a gentle pressure down into the sitting bones, into the mat. Everything else is lifting. Visualize lightness in your breath. Visualize a cat, the way it sleeps and breathes. The entire chest and torso is involved in the in-breath. And you savor it. Exhale, the full exhalation. Inhale, imagine pressing down, pulling down into your diaphragm, which is what should be happening. Inhale, diaphragm. Exhale, the full. Keep your breath long, deep and easy. Relax your jaw. Relax your eyeballs. So if there are any cues here, try and practice
observation without forming an opinion. Just witnessing what's happening. Witness as much as possible what's happening in your mind, how you may be feeling, what you're hearing. Place yourself in the witness space, which is a very relaxed space. And like fretting a vibrating string on an instrument, we try and keep our thoughts still for a little while. Very tricky. But in order to try and do that, just for a few seconds at a time, we focus on our breath and give ourselves something to really focus on. Make it one nostril at a time. Using your thumb and your last two fingers, manipulate your nostrils like a nostril. Take a huge inhale through your right nostril, loud, powerful, pulling down into your diaphragm. Switch sides on the exhale. Inhale through the same nostril. Switch on the exhale and keep that rhythm going. Count on your inhale. Count to yourself and try and make the exhale the same length. Distribute your effort and relaxation across the entire breath. If it's uneven length or jerky, doesn't matter, just keep going, keep practicing. See if the second or third or fourth one softens, equalizes. Switch sides if you like to. You can be noisy and powerful, blowing past any obstructions at this time. Not for much longer, so make them quality. If you introduce a pause at the top of the breath, and then you exhale. A pause before inhaling. See what that feels like. Okay, you can let go with the hands. You can in front of you or relax them on your knee. Keep the breath low and easy. And just try and sit and observe for another minute or so. Cultivating a sense of contentment. Perhaps visualize yourself as the surface of water. Ripples are stilling out. The surface becomes transparent and the sight is clearer. Thank you for practicing together. I hope you feel refreshed. And let's appreciate those animals and their stretching. And remember, this is a very natural thing to do. Quirky, but there you go. Have a wonderful evening, and thanks.